Hi, I'm Dr. Fred Ray Libran, and I'm wanting to ask the question or propose that maybe it's better to only be a 98% homeschool. Now, you may or may not know what I'm getting at yet, but let me just tell you, I and my wife homeschooled 5 children from birth all the way to college. And in that process, I wouldn't say we were 100% homeschool. Now, by that, I mean that we didn't close in on ourselves alone. We did the education, we did most of the education, but there were many other things that were supplemented in relationship to our home school. Okay, so this is the distinction and what I want you to think about, because what we can do is we can be so close that when you add a D to that word, it turns out closed. And when you get closed off, you can become what's called an over-enmeshed family. And these over-enmeshed families are closed but dysfunctional. It's the things Faulkner writes about. That would be one extreme over here, okay? So there's another extreme that we have on the other ditch, as it were, on the other side of the road. And that would be so loosey-goosey and so given over to the government and other people, etc., that you really have nothing to do with the parenting or the raising of the child or the education of the child. And human beings are so adaptable, they can survive either way. So people can get into very distant boarding schools, and people can get away from their families, and people can be in enmeshed homes. In both of them, there are people that can figure it out and do to get out of it and to grow and continue to progress in their life. What I'm talking about for you homeschool is the opportunity to actually just be smart about this and make sure you're including some other things. So we, for example, had 4 boys that were all Eagle Scouts, so they're involved in the scouting program. My daughter, one particular thing she liked was tennis, so she took tennis and played tennis, and in fact later high school worked at Nuke's Tennis Ranch not too far away in New Braunfels, Texas, a pretty famous tennis development program. And it's these things. Our church youth group was a part of that. Relationships with kids that are involved in different things, homeschools and other than homeschools. Music lessons that we did, other supplemental curriculum. I would order some great courses and have the kids go through those things to learn about certain bits of history, or the history of music, I think was one that we did. Those type of things allow you to overlap a little bit with what's going on in the world, so your child is equipped. Now, I'm not saying be foolish, and you've got to make your own mind up, but the truth is that they're going to encounter things in the future anyway, and it's better that they encounter them and deal with them and mess up while they're at home before they leave your home, and then God takes them on what's called a field trip. And the field trips of learning are much more painful and trying for them and the family. So I guess what I'm aiming at is what you're aiming at. You want a child that's ready for this world. Well, if you are a 98% homeschool, not over-enmeshed, have some overlap there so you can deal with some challenges they come along, then I think you're in a better place of getting your kid ready. And of course, not too soon. I'm not trying to invite you to get them enmeshed in some messy thing, that a teenager could barely handle when the child's 5. I'm not talking about that kind of thing at all, but I'm talking about the importance of thinking about how in this life, as we prepare our kids for life, are we going to get them ready? How do we expose them to things broader than just our neat little tight family? How do we cultivate their relationships with other people, other bits of information and knowledge? How do we teach them to discern and think in this world, as we've talked about elsewhere? That's what I'm saying. You want maybe a 98% homeschool. I think it's a smart way to go. Hope that helps.